Hi, welcome back to the Dylan Rounds case. Welcome if you're currently here in the live premiere. Today, what we're going to be doing is a map comparison of both 2019 satellite imagery of Lucin, Utah, comparing it against 2022-2023 satellite imagery. So you can see the difference, the change over time. It's relevant to Dylan Rounds because we're looking at places of interest, right? Areas we've constantly referred back to before, areas where Dylan could have been at some point, at some time, areas where suspects could have visited or been, Brenner, the charged one, or whoever else in between. And as well to see the difference with farming, how it's evolved, how the land has changed, the landscape, what's been added, what's been removed, you know, that's type of stuff, okay? And I've got it in order from each location. I can explain it a little bit more in a second. It's all under control and it should be easy to follow. But also, today, just as important, if not slightly more, we're actually going to be checking out some of the comments from people's own experiences and point of views of how they see or how they've been treated by other channels out there, such as Salty3Pancak3s. You know, less about me and my opinion. I went heavy, I went deep last night regarding that type of stuff. If you'd like to hear more about my opinion, my psychological explanation behind pancakes, his mechanisms, what's going on in here, make sure to check out my previous video. There will be a link down below in the pinned comment section, alongside links to other areas if you wish to visit as well. Okay, so it'll be all there. But yeah, today I'm going to be sharing the stories, spreading awareness of what other people have experienced / gone through, whether it be positive or most likely negative, right? We can incorporate that with looking at the other comments as well, like what we normally do, because it's all in one place. Though we won't start off with that today because it's a bit more deeper that, so I think we should leave it later on when enough people have joined into this live video premiere. What we can do straight away is talk about the Dylan Rounds coverage, okay? As we do go along in this video, feel free to share your thoughts, opinions and reactions in the chat. And if you want to type additional stuff, do it down below in the comment section. Also, one last thing, shout out to Weezer, Badger, Indiana, Betty Hayward, and maybe the odd other person for their presence last night, as well as the super chats. Very good of them, it's nice. So with that all in mind, blessings left, right and centre, of course, but I think we should just get right into this Dylan Rounds discussion, okay? I had a brief look at the Find Dylan Rounds Facebook page this morning. Nothing really new from what we checked the day before. As for news articles, not seen any new ones for weeks now. Let me know in the chat if you've seen any new news articles. I feel that maybe down to location. If you're in the US, you'll probably hear more like articles and smaller scale coverage on the case. But, you know, if you're in a different country, maybe the search results are a little bit more limited. I have noticed that in the past that if you're on the computer, you type in Dylan Rounds, you look at the news section, some articles pop up which wouldn't pop up if you typed it on mobile, which is a little bit odd. Don't know why it does that, but, you know, you might miss the odd thing. So if any of you have seen any latest updates or news articles, feel free to list it down below if you're able to, if YouTube aren't petty, and feel free to leave a link and see where we go from there. All I will say as a prediction, to an extent, providing that court case of Brenner on the 24th of April, if it does come about and it's not delayed, I do predict that there'll probably be a small bit of coverage on that. It'll probably be more so the odd official news article transcript alongside their own video coverage, which is probably a very short one and brief, uploaded to their main YouTube channels. Will we get blogs? Will we get all those more amateur coverages in articles? Probably not, but it might be added, some of that information down the line when they do their own coverage, when it's more tied with Dylan in some way or another, okay? So that's my prediction for now. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, regarding the satellite imagery of Lucin, to be specific, we're not looking at Montello, Nevada. We're looking at Lucin, Utah. We're looking back at places we have checked, but comparing them side by side so you can visually see the difference and the change. And of course, as we do go along, feel free to share any timestamps from this video if you notice anything out of the ordinary, anything that stands out to you. You know, anything unusual, dodgy, suspicious. If you didn't know already, what we're looking at is 2019 satellite imagery, comparing it to, from the looks of it, 2023 imagery, okay, /2022, because there's a bit of a crossover there. And yeah, that's all I can say. In terms of the order, to give an example, it'll be a 2019 photo of Dylan's farm, zoomed in, then a photo of Dylan Brown's farm years on, 2023, zoomed in, then revert back to 2019, then 2023, 2019, 2023, okay? Hopefully that makes sense to you. Let's head on over right now and analyze. Right, so here's the first image, 2019, and this is of Dylan Round's farm. But from the looks of it, the year it is not really in place, okay? Not much to see here at this moment, just, well, because it's that early on, right? We look at the land of it though, just to become more familiar with it. You can quite clearly see the pond was there back then. Some of that like black bin liner or polythene from the looks of it, or black rock, you can see scattered about. The ground itself is visible, like it stands out in terms of the shape of it. I guess it's like been flattened down even back then, but not much else shows from the looks of it. Make sure I don't zoom out too much or it spazzes out the camera. So that's basically 2019 satellite imagery of Dylan's farm zoomed in. If we go to 2023, you notice a bit of a difference, right? We zoom in. Already you can see that there's multiple different vehicles and attachments, trailers scattered about, which wasn't present in 2019, most likely because the farm wasn't in use at that point. You got the pond here, as you can see, filled with some form of water. A few outlines down there, which I'm not quite sure what that is. Looks like a bit of a flood or something. You got some additional items there, either wooden beams or metal poles laying on the side. Of course, you got some trailers, attachments there. The ground itself, similar colour to how it is here, as you can see, but the outer area on here is a bit more greener and darker, whereas on this one it's very light coloured and very sandy or salty, whichever one. I mean, this is the thing, we have seen footage of Dylan's farm, the grain shed property, etc. from like ground level. We've seen that. Ground level to in the air, a flyby, to pure satellite bird's eye imagery. And that's perfect. We've gone through each and every layer, or at least you yourself as a viewer have been exposed to each layer and depth of the area geographically and visually. And that's very good. But it doesn't always happen, that. One thing I just want to point out, I can't remember who it is now, so apologies, but it was Ricky, wasn't it? Ricky! So Ricky, you said about not far away, 0.87 miles from Dylan's farm, there was like a gravel pit or something. You provided coordinates and you said there was a payloader at Dylan's farm and that there was track marks which went to that gravelled area, and you thought there could be a bit of a link. On screen right now at Dylan's farm, am I looking directly at the payloader you were talking about, that yellow object there? Let me know. One thing I do want to say right now, okay, unless someone can counter it, on screen right now, you see that yellow vehicle. You could think it's a backhoe, but the only reason why I don't agree with that in terms of the backhoe we're thinking of, the Kurt Wadsworth one, is because further on, when we go through the other images of the grain shed property, that backhoe is at the grain shed property and not at Dylan's farm. Does that make sense? If I am wrong, what that would mean is we've actually seen both the backhoe at the grain shed property and also at Dylan's farm. But I highly doubt that, because if this is up-to-date satellite imagery, as it says 2023, that supposed other backhoe most likely had been already taken away in the past by whoever, right? What you need to acknowledge is when we did look at the flyby over footage of Heavy D in the very early days, the backhoe was there. But when Heavy D flew by it again later down the line, I don't know how many months on, the backhoe was no longer there because it was at the grain shed property. Okay? But one thing to acknowledge, there was a secondary yellow vehicle, but it wasn't exactly a backhoe, and it definitely did not look similar to Kurt Wadsworth's, right? It was kind of like a longer, extended thing, kind of like what we see on screen right now. If anyone needs to correct me, feel free to do so, but I'm just telling you from what I've seen visually over time. So is there anything else besides the obvious, such as the vehicles and trailers which are there? Now you may wonder, where is Dylan's trailer on here? Personally, I can't see it myself. And you could think, well, if it's up to date, then where's the trailer? Well, as you know, if you went to the place now, the trailer's not there, and that's because the police took that trailer away, I guess, in the early days, right? So you look at satellite imagery right now, or even back in 2022, post Dylan's disappearance, the trailer wouldn't be there. Even when Pancakes went himself back in 2022, I believe, towards the end, he didn't see the trailer because that was already taken away by the police long ago. Okay, so just for a reference point in case you're wondering, oh, why is there no trailer here and no trailer there? It's because most likely this was before Dylan truly moved into the whole farming thing, and this is after Dylan went missing and the trailer was taken away by the police. Okay, as you can see, no vehicles there in 2019, but vehicles and trailers are present. And as for this like tank, do you call it a septic tank? Heard some people talking about it, saying it was moved from the grain shed property and brought down to here. I think they said something about that to roll it all the way down. Sounds a bit wild, but I guess it was successful. We will take into account that when we look at the grain shed property later on in this video and compare, contrast. But as you can see, in this one, doesn't seem to show up down here in the middle of the screen, but it does right there. So there you go. Hopefully you notice the difference. We'll just do it one more time. Boom. Boom. Now, if we zoom on out, as you see here, not much going on, right? We fast forward to 2023, boom. You can instantly see the difference, the pivot. No pivot, no main line, no long stick thing going out into the distance, which would be the water where it would rotate round. But it does exist there. As you see, you follow it. It's in the middle. It goes over like that. So hopefully you can make that out clear enough. The pivot, but none there, because it was underdeveloped, not like in the process of the farming back then. So there's that. Let's move on to the next location. Now, this location is the chop shop. As for a reference point of where it truly is located, right, zoomed out, make sure to check one of my previous videos on my channel. You'll notice that it's a recent one and it should be titled The Chop Shop Mystery Location Changed, or It's Moved, okay? You'll see the vast difference, how 1 minute it's here, next minute it's further east. Now, just a quick comment from what Ty Corbin said, because I did ask him the question, as he's not really commented on it before. Ty Corbin suggested that the owner or the person who runs the place or lives there must have realised he was on the wrong parcel of land or in the wrong area, so he had to relocate, kind of like with the whole surveying thing, as like what Kurt Wadsworth does, surveying parcels of land owned by people. I think that's what he was basically getting at. I mean, it was in a short space of time. I guess it makes sense. Of course, we're only working with 2019 satellite imagery and then comparing it, jumping ahead to 2022, 2023. So it depends what happened in between. And unfortunately, we don't have, well, at least my knowledge, we don't have the in-between satellite imagery, right? But at the end of the day, it seems to be abandoned. If it's abandoned, why? So for the individual or group of people, whoever or what amount of people there were, to think, right, maybe we need to move this because we're in the wrong spot, and then for it to go abandoned after that, is there a deeper reason behind it? Run out of business, something to do with age, don't know. We need to get these like little talking points and discussions going here and there and see if we can get to the bottom of it, kind of like tie up the loose ends, right? But let's just visually talk it through, what we see on screen. The 2019 satellite imagery, there's a fair few objects and a lot of track marks in the dirt, as you can see. A lot of turnabouts, very defined tracks, so it must have been in use. Fair levels of activity, people coming and going. You can quite clearly see that there was a couple of white RV trailers parked up. So that could mean that there was a handful of people there living. Obviously, you got the scrap piled up in areas. and abandoned vehicles too, which are probably no longer in use. Some are spread about, as you can see. But there's a fair bit going on. You've got some storage containers from the looks of it as well. Now, if we compare that to 2023, look how sparse it is now. And take in mind, it's in a different location as well. So, not, from the looks of it at least, not everything here transferred to here, if I'm correct in saying. There's a way of, I don't know. I think with it being spread out and almost organised, maybe it appears as less. It could be the same amount, same quantity, but you just start counting them and it's not the clearest. I mean, you got one trailer there, then another, and then another down here. We've got one trailer there, trailer there, and maybe another one. So there could be the odd trailer container missing. I do feel that, at least. Yeah. Because you still got a couple of cars, but they don't seem to have the same amount of storage containers. So it does seem less. The scrap itself looks more in quantity, or just at least spread out. Doesn't seem as dense, as compact. Is that why it's abandoned, not doing as well, not as much business, not many people coming, visiting? Maybe. Let me know your thoughts, fam. I mean, I don't know if the relocating had an impact negatively on what could be taken and what could be moved, right? One thing to acknowledge, though, when looking back at that spot where it originally was, it appears that there was nothing left behind, right? So either everything was taken and moved on, or some of it was, and the rest was literally taken away, but elsewhere. So just do a quick side-by-side. There you go, quite compact, a lot going on, and track marks too. Very sparse, empty, can't see any defined track marks, so less activity, most likely utterly abandoned. Okay, let's move on to the next location. So this is zoomed in at the pivot, which is north of the grain shed property. Okay, this is not owned by Dylan Rounds. It's owned by somebody else. Okay, and obviously this is the location what Weezer was talking about not too long ago with the comments, and I believe Don Hately too. But we need to do an independent video for that map analysis, focus on that too. Don't worry, it will come eventually. Just got to sieve through the other videos, the other ideas, the notepads, and just arrange it and organise it properly. Okay. So what we're looking at is towards the bottom of the pivot, right, the base area. This is where the two trailers are situated and some of the farming equipment trailers, as you can see on screen. Try and zoom in as best we can. There's some of the trailers lined up, attachments. That's, I believe, an overhead power line there. And you got two trailers here with one vehicle. So whoever it was, I guess, who ran the pivot lived here at some point at least. Kind of like Dylan Rounds, right? Dylan Rounds' farm, his trailer right next to the pivot, almost looked visually as if it was on top of it almost. Yeah, okay. Now let's head to more modern time. Has it changed much? I'd say so. There appears to be more track marks, right? Look down here, look in this area. That doesn't seem to appear as clear here. Not really. Well, I think that middle of the screen is that. Yes, it is. Same exact thing. The only addition is this like track mark that goes behind it and connects around. Okay. So what do we have here? We've got like a small white cube object, small shed maybe, some kind of black object there. What do we have here? That like black object there, which appears to cast a shadow, so it's taller. Is it a tower? Some kind of power head line. Can't quite make out the shadow. Let me know your thoughts if you know what the stuff is. You do have that white cube there with the shed next to it, so that's not really changed. There is some kind of red object there. Is that like a propane tank, possibly? Didn't quite see it in the previous image. And there's a few extra items just back there. So there's a few more track marks, a bit more levels of activity, of course. What about down here? Well, it looks like the trailers, the attachments are still there. Not quite sure what that object is. A little bit hard to tell. Is it there in the other one? Yeah, it is. There we go. See, this is the thing. You can kind of notice a pattern. Arguably speaking, the 2019 imagery is clearer, especially when zoomed in comparison or in contrast to the 2023 imagery. But, you know, it's just limitations, right? One's a positive, better image quality, limitations, outdated. The other one, more up to date, limitations, not as great quality. So we just work with what we've got. The one noticeable difference I would say is 2019 imagery, you had people living on site. But then again, correct me if I'm wrong. If it's been mistakenly worded in the past by others out there and news articles claiming Dylan lived on his farm, that was incorrect. He didn't. He went down there and did what needed to be done. And when there was nothing that needed to be done, he was elsewhere. He moved about. Does that apply to other farmers in the area of Lucin or not? Let me know your thoughts. But yeah, these two trailers here, 29 imagery, they don't seem to show up here. It's completely empty, this patch. No track marks, no trailers, nothing. So does that mean they've moved on? They no longer live there? Possibility. Or maybe they weren't doing any farming at the time and went on to do custom farming. Or they were visiting elsewhere and took the trailer with them so they could stay in it. Though when it came to Dylan Rounds, I'm not quite sure what his activity levels were like with his trailer, whether he took it with him whenever he left the farm for months, or if he just left the trailer there and lived in other accommodation. If anyone can fill in the blanks, feel free. But you can see there is a bit of a difference from 2019 to 2023. Now, if we zoom out and look at it from 2019, you can see the pivot in full sight, in full view. And also you had the other little object over there, but it's not quite clear on this image, unfortunately. But yeah, that's what it looked like in 2019. We go to 2023. Still visible, right? Actually, to be honest, because it's labelled this, which Google Earth fails to do, Bing Maps labels the roads, and as you can see, it says Pigeon Mountain LOOP. That road runs right through the pivot. Is that normal? Is that a normal thing for a road to go directly through a pivot? Let me know your thoughts. Now, which one would you say is in better condition? The 2019 pivot or the 2023 pivot, right? And if anyone can fill it in right now, the question is this pivot still in use by someone or some people? Feel free to answer that question. Now, let's move on to the next location. So we're looking at Lucin Airport, where Ivor Zadovsky stayed at, lived, and had his workshop in his hangar and all of that. With time though, can't quite remember exactly when, but Ivor Zadovsky supposedly doesn't live in Lucin anymore. He moved away. right? But looking at the airport in 2019, you can see the structure, the outline of it, the runway. Although it doesn't show on here because we're not zoomed in, the plane was like parked up by the side, okay? As for down here, you got that like white object. Don't know if that's like a water tower or something else. And then there's a couple of buildings roughly in this area down here, right? But it's more so just the airport itself, the runway. Has it developed with time? Did it change much? Well, let's see. 2023. Tried getting the same angle as well. From the looks of it, that white object down there remains. This shows a little bit clearer, which is just like little sheds from the looks of it. The airport itself, the runway looks smoother, I would say. If we zoom in, although you can't see it, the plane's not there, but there was a vehicle parked up by the side. So I'm assuming that this satellite imagery was taken when Ivor Zadowski was still living here. Possibly. Like, if he did move away for good, then why would he leave his vehicle behind? And that's the other thing. If Ivor Zadowski did move away, then what about the hangar itself? Like, is the hangar empty? Is it locked up, or is there still stuff in there? And as well, if there were like valuable items there, even just the plane itself or plane pieces, parts within, material, why did someone like Chase Venstra or Robert Aviles or anyone else out there, why did they never go down to Lucin Airport to try and break in and steal something? Wouldn't it have been a good opportunity? Or is there too many security like defenses to prevent you from getting into the place? Does anyone know? Or any of you surprised that it's not been broken into at any point in the past? Let me know your thoughts. So that's 2019. That's 2022. And for most part of it, it does look the same. Maybe it looks a bit chunkier. You know, it looks a bit chunkier, but part of it is not the runway. It's just the ground colouring, right? You'll notice that quite a bit, how the ground colour changes with time. Could it be something to do with the season? Maybe. The weather? Yes. So 2019, Lucin Airport. 2023, Lucin Airport. Okay, let's move on to the next location. Now, one of the main features, we're looking at the grain shed property, the place where Dylan Rounds was supposedly taken out and where Brenner was squatting, as other people seem to claim, but viewers and people on the outside say that he was like a caretaker in the area, guarding it. So I've tried getting a specific angle of the grain shed property, so as much as in sight as possible, and so it can align with the newer imagery. When looking here, it looks pretty bland, right? No, well, first of all, that shed is there, it's present. The backhoe, you'll see that later by what I mean. There is some farming equipment though present, as you can see here, right? The trailers, attachments. That boat is there as well. Bits and bobs back here are present. The dirt mound, burning pit, bottom corner, left-hand side of the screen, as you can see. There, that's there. That like black polythene or whatever you call it is there. So really, the things that are missing is the backhoe, Brenner's trailer, and Ed Harshberger's mobile RV home. Okay. Though this trailer, this white RV trailer, is present there. I don't know if I did ever get a definitive answer. Hopefully I can get one in this video. In 2019, Lucin, Utah, at the grain shed property, whose trailer did this belong to? Can anyone answer? It's on the grain shed property, but further down here, closer to the dirt mound. Okay. Let's look at the latest up-to-date satellite imagery. So I tried getting the same angle, and as you notice, it's filled in a little bit more, right? Granted, these trailers, these attachments don't show up on this latest photo, but that's only because they're obscured by that stupid white search bar on the image, right? I couldn't get rid of that, and I had to try and get the same angle and zoom as the previous one. That's what I mean. I tried fitting in as much as possible. But as you can see, that boat remains, never moved. How did that boat get there in the first place, and who put it there? What was the point and purpose of it? Is it because that boat would be, or was in some point in the past, taken out to one of the salt lakes to float around in? Yes, no, maybe? Dirt mound, as you can see, is back there, left-hand side of the screen on the far left. Not as much of a direct track mark leading up to it as you see here. The one here, you can clearly see a visible track mark. So it was more in use at the time. Some kind of vehicle was driven up to that burning pit, that dirt mound. Yet it wasn't used as frequent here in later time from the looks of it. Is there anything else we need to... Well, you've got the black bin liner stuff there. That shows. You got the bits and bobs around the back of the grain shed too. The shed is obviously there. So from 2019 to present day, it's been there. The only change is, like how I said, that white trailer was there in 2019, closer to the dirt mound. On here, come on. On here, it's nowhere to be seen. Where has it gone? That's what leads me to think, was it just simply moved somewhere here? But then, when you look at it, what do you have? You got the shed there, that blue cube, followed by a white car, a green car, and then some kind of object there, which I believe is Brenner's trailer. That truck there, some additional vehicles, cars, that roller, that yellow vehicle which can flatten the ground down, and then Ed Harshberger's mobile RV motorhome trailer thing, whatever you call it, okay? So that trailer there, is that trailer 2019 the same as that there, middle of the screen? Looks a different colour and looks a different shape as well. So there must be two separate trailers, but who do they belong to? And what we see on screen here, is it really Brenner's trailer? The only reason why I say that is because if this is the same satellite imagery relevant date as to the same time when the other satellite imagery was taken of Dylan's farm, is it in the correct order? Is it correct to say that Dylan Round's trailer was taken in by the police before Brenner's trailer was taken away? Can anyone confirm that? And as well, if that's the case, does that mean that the backhoe was moved from Dylan's farm to the grain shed property after Dylan's trailer was taken away, but before Brenner's trailer was taken away from the grain shed property? Just let me know. Okay, just trying to make sense of it, how the items followed, right? Obviously, we've heard about like the evidence being found, such as the boots, right? First of all, near the dirt mound, and then I guess followed by the gun and key fob being returned. And then a bit later, going into June, I believe June 18th, finding the phone at Lucin Pond, right? That order. But what was the order of potential evidence, objects, possessions that were taken away to the labs? In what order? Okay. The other thing to acknowledge is there's a handful more stuff going on there. No, different shape, isn't it? There's absolutely no vehicles or cars or trucks on that stretch of land. Though there is here, as you can see, scattered about. Yeah? Can confirm that, yeah. Makes sense. And that truck there. Does anyone know what that truck is used for? As a heads up, it's not the grain truck, in case you were wondering. I'm just trying to think. Is that white truck from Dylan's farm at some point? Because there was a longish white truck at Dylan's farm in the early days when Heavy D did the flyby over, right? It was like a white truck with one of those things sticking out the back of it where it could like spray seeds out or something. Maybe it's different, but I just wanted to point it out. So final overview, 2019, pretty bare, no, hardly any trailers, vehicles. 2023, filled in more, etc. This one is just a little bit north, just a bit above. It's literally above the grain shed property. You can't see it, but where that white bar is, just below it, see-through, you can just about make out the grain shed, right? I couldn't fit it all on screen, so that's why I've pushed it further up here. And the reason why I did was just so we can see that stretch of land which goes all the way up here. And what runs in parallel to it, we've got that vehicle there, farming equipment with that long spread of it. A trailer there, which would probably attach onto a tractor. And from the looks of it, a actual truck, okay? And as well, just let me know, get off you bastard. Just let me know if at any point you notice any vehicles which were associated with a truck driving out of the grain shed property on the 28th of May 2022, in which witnesses nearby saw it driving out and leaving and also slowing down when passing by those people. Tom Evans pointed that information out, and I think Weezer did as well. So if you notice any vehicles on here which did show up in the description by those witnesses, let me know. Leave a timestamp or whatever, right? It's important. So with this being, did I ask for you to pop up like that? No, fuck off. So what we see on screen is not much. The land, not really developed. Did we see any dirt mounds, bumps, lumps and clumps, what we've seen before? No, because that work done around the grain shed property wasn't done back then, because this is 2019. And as well, just above the grain shed, this is the area, roughly speaking, where the backhoe should be parked up, though, as you can clearly see, it's not. But we fast forward to 2022, 2023, what do we see here? The truck is missing. Very interesting. Where has the red truck gone? We still have that farming equipment there with that long spread, wingspan, if you want to call it. What else do we have? Oh, wait, it's just some that what do you call it? The trailer, the red one, roughly in this area, is not there. Maybe let's just check back at Dylan's farm. Just give me a second. Give me a second. No, it's not there either. So I don't know where that's gone. Is there any trucks though? Kind of like a truck there, but it's not got a red top. Yeah, so I don't know where that's gone. That's strange. Unless someone else owned it at the time. But yeah, 2019, a red truck without a trailer, Grangeshed property. In that same area, fast forward, no longer there. Does anyone know? As for this stretch going down, it doesn't really look any different when looking down at it, though it looks a little bit bumpy and clumpy there in comparison to how it does here. Or maybe, oh no, forget that. The bumps and clumps are just further on ahead, but I couldn't fit it into the damn screen. So it kind of looks the same. There's just a couple of pieces of vehicles that aren't there no more. The main feature though, of course, is this backhoe, as you can see there. I know it's not clear to see, but we have seen it on ground level footage when Glorindellen went. This is just a little bit north of the Grangeshed property, just in front of it, parts by the side, as you can see on screen. Now the tyre, one of them at least, was flat, okay? And I believe it's remained there ever since. Salty3Pancak3s recently, I think, called out the Wadsworths and questioning why would Kurt leave that backhoe out there all this time. Maybe because Kurt has no need for it, right? I mean, if it was taken away, considering it's a crime scene area, or at least should have been, and would have been, and could have been in the past, if you did move it away and take it away, then you could argue that is suspicious. You're taking evidence away from a crime scene without the police's permission. That is a bit dodgy, though that never happened. And because it didn't even happen after that, it's as if, well, I've got no use, no purpose. It's not that important to me. I'll just leave it out there. If it really was important, personal possession, it would have been taken care of. It would have been taken away, right? Is there any suspicious reasons to why you just leave it out there? Maybe because you want no part of it, because it could have been used. Though, if it was used, surely there'd be DNA upon it, right? Unless that's been cleaned off it. But if it was cleaned off it, then you would not need to worry about traces or DNA, so you could take it back home whenever you can. Maybe it's just down to laziness or just can't be bothered. I've already got another one. Because Ellen Berg seemed to acknowledge that Kurt Wadsworth has 2 backhoes. Though, we're taking that in mind. Oh, 2 backhoes? And Lance Kelly said there was 2 backhoes on the property at some point. And the one that isn't present is the one that had blood on the bucket, supposedly speaking. Well, that means that would be Kurt Wadsworth's, right? We're not going to go too far with that yet. I think a few more questions need to be asked. I'll see what I can do. And if I do get an answer, I will respond back to you. Okay? So we just zoom on out for a second. 2019, roughly around the area of the Grangeshed property. Few items there. 2022, things are missing, right? Now, this one is just a little bit more north, following down the road, further up, okay? The reason why I took this, because, like I was talking about those septic tanks, there appears to be 2 here, from the looks of it, unless it's a trailer. Some kind of white object there, which I'm not quite sure of. That's where the bumpy, clumpy stuff was. And just by the side of it is the septic tank. Just wanted to do a comparison of this to present time. Okay, so we still got that tank there, just like how we do here. Though, the one next to it, this one, is not present, is it? Where's it gone? Though there is one tank there, so maybe it was just moved aside, possibly. But those two here, the one on the right, the one on the left, are basically, come on, these two here. As for the septic tank here, lower down, it's not present. You can see the outline of it, the indentation, I guess, but it's no longer there. Well, that is possibly, and most likely, that was moved down to Dylan's farm, as others have described, which you can now see here. Okay? So this septic tank at Dylan Round's farm originated from the grain shed property, which you see in 2019, right there. Okay? So a fair bit of distance in transporting it. So you can see the changes with time, how things developed and the stuff moving about. It's good now to be in that situation where you can compare with multiple forms of satellite imagery through the years, because it was something I didn't really have access to in the early days. Now, we should move on to the next image. The next image is of Lucin Pond, and this is 2019. Now, we have looked before that through the years, and I think it was either in 2013 or 2016, roughly in this area, around the bushy area, in between those two track marks, under the tree, there was a white RV trailer. Someone was squatting in the area, I guess, near to the pond. Don't know why, but I just wanted to point that out to you. Here there appears to be a car parked up, probably just a visitor. It's not exactly clear to see, but does anyone know whose vehicle that belongs to? Probably a bit of a silly question, but the only reason why I ask it is considering Lucin is a ghost town, you know, it should be easier to track the movement of people in the area, right? Oh yeah, as well, that's the fence area, and that's, I guess, where the gate is, roughly speaking. You see the perimeter of it as it goes down. It's very green vegetation, fairly dense, right? But you can see right down, and then that's, I guess, the pond area, okay? It's kind of exposed in the way when looking down at it. Let's look at the latest imagery. The latest imagery is a little bit different, right? You look at it, you can't really see through. It's quite thick. But right down there is where the pond is. Now, from the looks of it, at least, speaking, this does not look decimated, does it? Doesn't look decimated. It doesn't look like it's been torn down and drained or any of that. Because as we know, I think it was in January, I believe, the second week of January, that's when this annihilation took place at the pond, draining it, clearing it out, searching for it just to double check, right? In case anything was missed. They didn't find anything, supposedly speaking. Afterwards, maybe a month or two on, Ty Corbin did go down to this area and recorded it, documented it, which was good of him. And he did have permission to go on the land as well. The footage, what we saw from Ty, looks nothing like this. So this would make me believe, is it truly 2023 imagery? Very early 2023 imagery, I'd assume. Makes me believe it could be more so 2022 imagery. Because the amount of vegetation there, it's got to be before the pond was checked and searched in 2023, January. Correct me if I'm wrong, okay? And yeah, that's about it in terms of places of interest. As for Brenner's burnt down trailer, we will refer to that in a separate video, and it'll probably be a shorter one because I am a bit confused by it. You know how I was when I tried looking at it last time. There might be a reason for it now. So hopefully you were able to find those satellite images of interest to you, and if you noticed anything odd, out of the ordinary, as I said, list down below in the comments section and a timestamp as well. And yeah, it's just good being able to have this material now so we can compare and contrast with time. If anything important does show, we can look at it and analyse. Now, if we put that aside, what we need to transition onto next is sharing and maybe analysing the experiences and encounters of people who have first-hand witnessed, come across from the likes of Salty3Pancak3s, maybe other channels here and there, first-hand with the true crime drama, how they've been treated themselves, basically to spread awareness on these people's stories and how it went for them. That's what we do today by checking the comments out of the last video, because I did say if you've had experiences and encounters, list it down below, and people did. So we can definitely take a look at that. And let's begin. What I'm going to do is arrange it to the newest comments and we work our way up. Does it matter the order? I guess not. So to start off with, Bella V did leave a comment saying, "What is happening here?" Bella V being a little confused. Arguably, although Bella V might have appeared because of the Dylan Rounds case, the community and the people that gathered there, and then expanding outside of it, right? This is a possible example to an extent of a viewer, well, not really a viewer, a temporary person that's come on in who may not be 100% up to scratch with the Dylan Rounds case, because more so she orbits around simply hanging out, chatting with others who may have come from the case, but they're talking about separate stuff, right? So that could explain the slight confusion from Bella V. We just check the responses. Indiana saying, "Pop in and find out." Wise words, for sure. Badger agrees. Bella V, "I will dove in soon." You mean dive, I think. "Thank you. Much love." "You're always welcome here, I think." Oh, Badger adding the slight uncertainty with that sentence. Yeah. Unstable, uneven surfaces, man. It's like rolling on a log in a fucking lake approaching Niagara Falls. Pure wetness all over. And it's actually raining outside right now. Anything else? Bella V, "I'm not too sure. Actually, why am I doing that voice? I need to be in character." Bella V says,
"Well, I'm not sure with this on. He finds any reason to whip."
Abstract art, simple as. And in addition, Bella V, if you weren't aware, the reason, the purpose, the providence of why it was brought in, the whip of wrath, was to maintain order and control, considering in the early days, eventually there was more people watching, and because of the live video format premiere, you did get levels of resistance, people complaining, whinging, whining, bitching, moaning, pissing about, not taking it too serious, and completely not giving a toss about the Dylan Rounds case, and just, I don't know, just being, I don't know, literally, I don't know. So the whip was brought in to clear up some of that mess, and it was very successful, okay? And with time, the whip has adapted and has advanced with time in many different means, both physical and digital, such as the whip emoji badge. But of course, Bella V, unfortunately, you aren't able to use the red robe emoji with the whip. Oh, Bella V, yes. So saddening, isn't it? Because it's one of those member-only ones, but it is what it is.
Just saying.
Let's move on. What else do we have here? So this is an interesting comment. We'll read it out in full. Hopefully everyone is present right now. Welcome to those who are watching and chatting in the chat. And also shout out to the people in the background and those lurking in the deepest, darkest depths out there. Okay? So Mini-Me, maybe like a Mickey Mouse, but gone wrong, ended up leaving a comment before the actual video aired. So Mini-Me was already assuming this and that, right? Acting in an impetuous manner to a small extent, okay? So let's publicly see this public comment by Mini-Me and what she has to say. Are you ready? Mini-Me says, "What the hell are you to be doing a psychological anything on anyone? Are you a licensed therapist or carry any license to perform this assessment on anyone? No, and you know it. He gets upset as anyone would, having the Terry squad come at him over BS and lies. Enough is enough, or you are being reported for harassment and misinformation you are spreading. It's called cyberbullying. Anyone who doesn't agree with certain channels on this YouTube platform are targeting by a group of you." Well, I guess I can give my thoughts in a second, but let's just see what other people have had to say in response. Weezer saying in response to Mini-Me, who thinks it's really bad to analyse someone, but it's okay to support a channel that might go after people for simply analysing in the first place. Yeah. But Weezer says, "He's been bullying and slandering me for months. Can't take it when the tables turned on him. Pancakes, I guess. I even personally asked him to stop. That made it worse." Hopefully, Mini-Me, you are listening to this. These are stories documented and shared by these people of what they've witnessed, what they've experienced firsthand in the presence of Salty Pancakes from the looks of it. Okay? Indiana adds in by saying, "And calling Warlike Raf a trafficker is all just part of the par, isn't it? And remember, it is Salty's account that has been struck down here, not Warlike Raf's or Jim Terry's. Stay friendly with us, and we will stay friendly with you, Mini-Me." Now, from at least what I've seen, worst case scenario, Mini-Me, whether it be Salty Pancake viewers, hardline supporters, and maybe other people out there from other channels, when they have come here and some of my more consistent viewers have commented, they've basically said, "Oh, look, the rats have shown up," and shown a rat emoji. Worst case scenario, is it that bad, right? You come into the chat, okay, you may not feel welcomed, you called a rat, you got a rat emoji to symbolize you, but that, receiving a rat emoji in comparison to possibly being doxxed, location revealed, harassed, possibly stalked, deep dives, and all of that, and maybe getting your minions and bitch boys to go out and cause trouble, there's a big difference, isn't there? Okay? Let's continue reading. As for Jim Terry, I don't know what the situation is with his channel because he hasn't uploaded. All I would say is, if Jim Terry doesn't upload within 7 days, then likely he did receive a strike. That's all I'm saying, based off the pattern we've seen with Pancakes and, I guess, Doug's channel. What do we have here? Confluence says, "As an OG moderator of Salty Pancakes, I do remember he had shared something on his channel on accepting people with diagnosed BPD. I do not remember if it had anything to do with the borderline personality disorder or bipolar disorder, but definitely was there. Once he started growing, he removed it." Interesting. The key point about that comment by Confluence is the fact that she says once he started growing, he removed that term. Now, was it only used as a potential publicity stunt or some way of gaining favour and attention? And then once that's out the way, you can just chuck it aside, right? On a more rougher general scale, There'll be times, there'll be moments in life where people will jump onto the Me Too movement in support of it, or jump onto the mental health bandwagon, which has been going on for years now, to appear as if they care, that they are welcoming it, or that they're supporting people that have gone through this or that experiences. It makes you look good, right? You become a do-gooder, right? You get attention, you get people that then support you as well. And then maybe down the line, you yourself couldn't really be bothered with it to begin with, but you've got what you needed, and now you can disassociate with that. Is that what we're seeing here with Pancakes? I'm not quite sure. This whole personality disorder, BPD, bipolar. Does any of that resonate with Salty Pancakes? I'm not saying it is for certain. I'm just suggesting, right? Because with Pancake's personality and how he has been at times, switching and changing, snapping and this and that, is that why he welcomes people with those sort of disorders? Because he has either gone through it himself or still is. So that level of understanding and welcoming people who maybe have issues. Because just recently, like a couple of days ago, on a different channel which was supporting Pancakes to do a live stream because he didn't really have a channel to do himself, Pancake said, "Oh yeah, I get a little bit crazy at times, and I think most of the people in chat right now are probably a bit messed up and a bit crazy too." But I don't mean that as an insult. It's not exactly a bad thing. It just is what it is. That's roughly what Pancake said. So although this whole BPD thing, which may have been a tagline or some kind of keyword at the time, which was visible, then faded away for whatever reason, is that just simply because he understands those people? And it kind of showed in recent time with his behaviour and him acknowledging that there's people in the chat that are in the same situation or react the same way. Interesting. Let me know your thoughts on that in the chat. But it's good that you're getting original members from Pancake's channel, right? And the reason why that's important is because you're getting people that have broken away from Pancake's channel, right? So the level of biasness or delusionalism or robot-like mentality isn't quite there. These people who have broken away can think for themselves because they had the want, the need, the reason to walk away in the first place. So they say what they say, right? That's interesting. And as well, with being an original from day one, you would have seen Pancakes how he was to begin with, and then how things changed with time, right? Things like this are very important, so then you know the turning point of what went wrong and when, and how it could have possibly led to the change in behaviour of Pancakes, right? Let's continue reading. Confluence also says, not everyone is part of a squad, and it's no different than Doug's delusions from No Thanks, lumping everyone in as a crime ring to not deal with having treated people poorly as individuals. Okay. Confluence also says, would you consider it cyberbullying? Mike beckoning Doug over to dox me on his live whilst slandering me. Mike defending Doug though I was his mod at time. Mike had seen all the proof of Doug's crimes and lies. He punished me for not going on his panel as he wanted. Or does Salty Mike get a pass? What about when Mike agreed to remove the video and then waited till I was off YouTube fighting cancer to put it back out, then applauded Doug on his revenge stream in chat and previously stricken, being re-uploaded on Doug's in February 2023. I left Mike's in August, so Mike bullies his share. A lot of information, stories, experiences to process there. There's no real need to analyse it that much because it's people's own experiences. They're saying what they've seen and what they've felt. But of course, People in the chat right now, let me know your thoughts on it. Are you surprised by this? I mean, the fact of Pancake's mentality, come on, join on the show, face me, one-on-one, I'm a winner. You all people are scared, you're not coming on, you're not talking. And then here, this situation where Mike goes behind Confluence's back when Confluence is at some kind of low, somewhat physically vulnerable and away from YouTube, and that's when Pancakes decides to reverse things and, you know, does what he does, as worded here. Isn't that somewhat cowardly? And yet he's calling people out for being too scared, not confronting him face to face, and yet he did this behind Confluence's back. Arguably, from the looks of it, and from what's worded here, possibly hypocritical, two-faced behaviour, right? What else do we have? Badger says Pancakes created his own problems. Warlike Ref is just explaining what may be going on because many of us feel the same way. I was one of Salty's original subscribers. I thought he was great. Few red flags, but nothing bad until he brought Jim Terry on panel. Then he got into a fight with Jim. Salty claimed Jim threatened to SA his son, and he had it all recorded. The chat said it should be reported to the police, but no, Mike didn't do that. Instead, he forgave Jim on a live, letting him come back on his channel/show because of the views Jim brought in. So your Salty did not do the right thing, and we lost respect for him. And that, my dear, is his integrity lacking. P.S. I'm not a Jim Terry fan. He's a joke. Disclaimer. This is in my opinion only, strictly my opinion. Any altercations of this opinion will be against my policy. Okay? So, Weezer's just like setting it straight, exactly what she thinks. Once again, we're getting an original Pancakes viewer and supporter. The key thing which Badger acknowledges here is the positives and negatives of Pancakes. The positives of how he once was and how it transitioned and went down a darker route with time. This is what you call a level of balance as well as an honest opinion, okay? Badger knows what they're talking about to an extent because they've experienced it and seen it themselves, right? These are some of the comments you wouldn't see if you came across possibly the hardline supporters of Pancake's channel, right? So by coming across these ex-viewers, these ex-supporters, they have a story to tell and there's a reason behind it, right? Maybe less BS, more honesty. I know one thing to acknowledge, there will be times just in general life situations where just because someone has a negative view of someone, then they might start creating these accusations and allegations, etc., etc., etc. Is this happening here? In my opinion, at least, no. This is genuine. This is honest. But, you know, I'm not completely dismissing all the other darker things, right? I still acknowledge that. But at least from how these people have behaved on my channel and how they've acted, they've not caused any trouble. And even if they didn't agree with some of the concepts or ideas or thoughts, opinions, they didn't suddenly retaliate or react in a weird or over-the-top, unnecessary way. So, no issues there, right? And this is what I mean. If that saying is, some of the Pancake viewers with time come on over, oh, they're the rats, they're the ones in the chats, they're the ones causing the trouble, and yet you've got these original people that came from Pancake's channel, such as Badger, Weedleby to an extent, and Confluence, and yet you see them in chat right now. Are they causing you trouble? No, not really, are they? They're being nice, they're being normal. So it does show that there are normal Pancake viewers out there in general, whether it be active viewers or ex-viewers of his channel. Interesting. But yeah, we've got this bit here about Mike defending Doug. Mike relying on Jim Terry because of the views. So put aside potential threats, put aside danger, put aside negative things said because there's something to possibly benefit from, maybe. Putting things above other stuff that shouldn't be. Yeah. I said, you can read through this yourself if you wish to, right? But it's just about spreading awareness on what has happened with time. Yeah. Let's move on. Confluence agrees with Badger saying, I back you up 100% and I remember that happening. So the good thing here, what we're seeing is consistency and a consensus of people that may have not ultimately known each other at that moment, but they both witnessed it themselves individually, right? And backing one another up. That's what reinforces these points, right? The whole backing up of stuff, reinforcing it through own experiences and witnessing it, right? Unlike in the Dylan Rounds case where information kept switching and changing. You get me? Also, Watcher of Crazy responds to Mini-Me saying, Mini-Me, you are a fucking idiot. You are blindly following a mental case. You don't have to come up on here and watch anything, you dried up runt. Go in the street and play with the cars. Pretty straight to the point by Watcher. I don't know who Watcher is, to be honest, because they have been a recent viewer on my channel, but shout out to them for watching the videos and, you know, from the looks of it at least, they've not caused any trouble in the chat, so I appreciate that. Badger saying, thank you, Thank you. Mini-Me saying he gets upset struck a nerve. Salty is 44 years old. Warlike Raph is 24. Slight correction, I'm 23 years old. Like, Salty is the kid. Well, she is right about that when it comes to intelligence. Warlike Raph wins big time. Shout out to Badger for their comment. I appreciate it. Just randomly, because it just reminded me this comment. I did take a rough IQ test yesterday, and it was a timer one. Take in mind the 100% official certificate-based ones you've got to pay for. I'm not going to go through all that. I just did a brief free one, okay? My IQ score was 116, as like how it was many months ago, and I've not done any in between. So consistency, both there. Consistency in these experiences from what these viewers and ex-viewers have seen from Pancake. So that's what we need, the consistency, okay? I'm glad that the IQ has remained and it's not gone backwards, right? You know, it just goes to show that whilst doing all the messy stuff in between, acting dodgy, messing about at times, being a bit lighthearted, it doesn't have any negative correlation to IQ dropping. So that's another thing to acknowledge at least. And yeah, also sorry to hear to confluence with the background stuff she encountered at some point in the past. Hope you're better now. What else do we have? So Mini-Me was really the only resistant comment, and it was the fact that it was posted before the video actually played. So did Mini-Me even bother watching the video to truly understand the purpose of it? I don't know. But the way Mini-Me reacts, kind of like a yes man, always nodding the head, you know, obeying, enslaved from the looks of it in terms of behaviour. And I will acknowledge one thing. Mini-Me in the past was described as others in the chat as a rat, as a troublemaker, and yet I never, publicly agreed to those claims. I just simply said, hi Mini-Me, welcome, thanks for watching, how are you? That's all I ever said to Mini-Me. I didn't cause them trouble, and yet look how they're reacting to me. Mini-Me threatening, just word that once again, Mini-Me potentially threatening to report me for making a simple observation. A little bit rude, don't you think? Threatening, false claims, false reports, not going against TOS. Bit naughty that. You might think, well, why have I not blocked Mini-Me? If I block Mini-Me, then it just gets rid of the evidence, right? There's no point blocking everyone left, right and centre because it's the worm effect. You chop it in half, another one spawns. And as well, it's important for other people to see this behaviour by these people, right? I mean, you could call it a trigger, you could call it something else, a catalyst, but I'll tell you something. Over time, people reveal their true colours. Okay, some people may already know it, other people may not, but eventually it comes out. Whether you say the wrong thing or do the wrong action, when they don't agree, they finally show themselves, right? And often it's dragged out, and that's what the problem is. If it's at the beginning, good. You know who you're dealing with and what you're dealing with. But that's not always the case. So Mini-Me says, enough is enough, or you are being reported for harassment and misinformation. So you're saying that by analysing, theorising, suggesting, but not confirming is classified as misinformation. Oh, Mini-Me, you failed to understand the concept of the Dylan Rounds case and the appropriate wording and language used there. Let's move on. We got Patsy. Happy Rabbit Hole Day. Happy Easter to Patsy. Saying the orbs have come to play. Yep, it looked like that was the case. Over time, several people have claimed now that there are white orbs orbiting and flying around my body. Not once have I felt I've been attacked or tickled by them. So, I guess it is what it is. All I would say is it's most likely dust particles, simply because I'm right against the window and near the curtains. Maybe the disturbance causes the dust particles to whiz around, right? I mean, when I was whipping salty pancakes, whipping SpongeBob Soggy Pants, right? A few dust particles flew about there. So that's what I'm thinking. Kind of like with the Kenny Veach case. With the Kenny Veach case, the 2018 break-in of the Reiki healing store in Enchanted Forest in Nevada, which is owned by, let me get the correct name, the sister, I believe. What was her name, though? I can't remember on the spot, but the sister of Kenny Veach. And there was a break-in at night. A person broke in, supposedly looking like Kenny, and because of the disturbance to the window and the blinds unsettled, it led to dust particles being disturbed, and it was all flying about. And it was seen as a potential business strategy because of the spiritual items in the place, a healing store, to say, oh, those orbs were bad energy, and it was like cleansing it all and stuff, when it was just dust, Anyway, let's move back. Patsy says, all hail Raph, King Raph. I'm off to therapy now. Great news. But which therapy are you going to? Are you going to the Bellevue Alcohol Anonymous group? Or are you going to Dr. Raph's appointment room? Two very different places, right? And two very different outcomes as well. Maybe there'll be alternative ones out there, but do they do it justice? I disagree. But shout out to Patsy for their presence, and I can't quite remember where they come from, like if it's some other channels, but it's good that they consistently watch them. Badger Life says, please feel free to strike 28 Alice video today around the 250-minute mark. A zipper on the face, that must have slipped out. I don't know which video this is in reference to. I guess the link can't be provided just because, YouTube takes those comments away as spam, which is annoying. I don't know what the context is behind it, but, if there, and this is the key thing, it's all down to free will. If there is truly a genuine reason of a certain action or word or discussion that's taken place in another video of a different channel out there, and it truly goes against one of the terms of conditions, terms of service on YouTube, then maybe it's a possibility worth reporting. But you got to be very careful because established channel or not, you don't want to be falsely reporting people or videos, because what good does it do? But also it can harm your own reputation, because there is times where there could be possible repercussions for falsely reporting someone. Take notes, mini-me, about that. But yeah, just one of those things. Okay? So just do what you think needs to be done, okay? Like, there's been times in the past where I've come across knobheads, right? And I've just pointed out as awareness. You know, if you're in the presence of this channel and you think they have done something wrong, as what I've witnessed myself, then maybe it's worth taking some form of action. You see the language I use there? Very different to other channels. Other channels out there will say, hey everyone, go after them. Do this, do that. No. That does not happen here. Okay? Let's move on. We got Indiana. Says, I was busy watching the replay on Salty Pancakes ranting when ping the video was no longer available. Surprise, surprise. Oh. Now, which video is this? Was it a live stream from last night, or was it the night before? If you can explain, Indiana. I know... Oh, the replay. Well, I guess it couldn't have been the one last night, that live stream, because that wasn't a replay, because that was live. So, well, actually, no, maybe Indiana was watching it after the live stream ended, yeah, and then replaying it. But no, I think it was still there this morning. So this must be on Mighty Mouse's... No, not Mighty Mouse. Is this the one where Pancakes was getting enraged when I said hi to the shack lady? Is that the video you're talking about, Indiana? Because if so, that's interesting that that video was taken down. That the Bezoint account of Pancakes, the alt one, was changed, the username. Like I worded in my video last night, that if you start changing your usernames, that is done as sometimes, but not always, as a desperate attempt of avoiding being reported, right? You change the username, it confuses YouTube, I guess. I don't know if that's the case here, but possibility at least. Though, if a video from Pancakes or someone else's channel which includes Pancakes gets taken away, was it taken away because they know that they effed up and they don't want to get reported again? Or was it taken away because it was reported and there was a consequence for it? I don't know, but you know, it's one of those things where if you've been reported already and you've received strikes already, you're probably not going to be in the best of public eye when it comes to YouTube judging by this and that, right? Bad reputation doesn't lead to always being trusted after, right? That is, I think, yeah, I can't remember, to be honest. I'm kind of unrelated, but there was channels in the past, you know, where you get all the typical YouTube techie stuff and help, where these channels will say, oh, here's tips on how to grow your channel and how to expand and how to do all the monetization stuff, etc., etc. And then some say, you know, if you monetize your videos inaccurately and you say that you're not going against any of the guidelines, but you are, and you do that repeatedly, then you don't receive a green tick near to the approval status. So that means all the videos you do upload and monetize will be manually reviewed or something, and it will take more time. Though if YouTube trusts you and you're accurate with your reviews and ratings, but the next time you monetize a video, you won't be questioned and it'll be automatically accepted. I think that's what it was worded as. So you could argue to an extent that there is levels of being in favor with YouTube. And if you've got a bit of a bad reputation in general, then YouTube may act cautious around you. These notes may be worth taking down by some people out there. I don't know. What's the response, though, to India's comment? What's this? Pack and Go saying the shack lady, they chewed you out, was so childish. They told me I am welcome, but better not start any shit. Have I started anything more than a campfire? They deleted your chat too. Sad lot. So what you're seeing is, whether it be directly Pancakes or 28 days later Alice, or maybe Kaylee the Lucin Scarecrow, what they're doing is censoring people's comments. And that is not good. That definitely is problematic, right? You start censoring things because, because you don't agree with the truth or because you just don't like what they say, right? I will be honest, there will be times, there will be moments where the comment section could be completely disabled. People do that in life, right? In life, people do that online, right? It's noticeable a lot on TikTok and elsewhere, but there are reasons for that. If it's true harassment, bullying, and pure nastiness, it's common sense to disable the comments as a whole. Same with dealing with pure 100% degeneracy, right? But in Pancakes, Kaylee's, Alice live stream, whatever you call it, to be honest now, the comments there, it wasn't that negative. It wasn't that bad. There was more support in Pancakes than there was against, right? As you saw in the comments and the mods, and there was more greens, there was more mods than there was external viewers, right? So by specifically censoring these odd few people here and there, which weren't causing that much trouble in terms of what they were saying, that censoring, making it seem like it's all positive, it's all good, nothing bad to see here. That's an external, delusional, positive mindset to have, where you think and try and convince yourself and maybe others that everything is okay, nothing is wrong when it is, but you're covering it up as you go along. Does that help? No. That's just blinding people, pulling wool over people's eyes. I don't think that's practical, right? And for most part of it, I don't block or censor comments here, right? For most part of it, I'm not going to say 100% because that would be inaccurate and unrealistic, okay? But for most part of it, I see it's important comments stay up, whether they're positive, more so with the negative and very negative, because it's a form of evidence. Sure, the commenter can delete that comment, right? They do have the power to do that, but in the short spell of time it's up there, or for however long it remains up there, people can watch it and view it themselves, right? Been times in the past when it came to Pancakes and his mini meltdowns, because I basically shared the odd comment here and there, that people in the chat were like, oh shit, I've never seen that within Pancakes before. I've never known about this. Oh my God, thanks for the receipt. Whatever that is. I don't know what the word receipt means in that term, but yeah. As well, even though there might be people that won't agree with me right now, and there might be resistance in the chat right now the moment I say this, but this is reality. When it came to the odd falling out disagreement, mainly by them, of Jim Terry, maybe Mr. X more so towards me, back then only, I had comments which showed that they showed positivity towards me at a point, and then that's what led to that video of the change in behaviour by them. Valid comments. I guess the only thing to acknowledge in a positive way, the comments remained up there. I believe so. Yeah, I believe so. Unless they were deleted, but, I got the screenshots of them. This is what I mean. You got to be prepared. More so with these true crime cases, okay? These comments appear and disappear very quickly at times. You got to get screenshots. You got to be ready. You got to plan in advance, right? And I've tried doing that along the way. With experience from the Kenny Veach case, how people behaved and acted, I've had to implement it here from day one. And with making the predictions of the structures, the power dynamics, the allegiances, the stabbing in the backs, the shark, ocean waters, thick and dense with dangers and unknown certainty and instability, it was inevitable, right? Things would happen with time. But we've kept it under control, and I would say in a better situation now than ever before, okay? And you could say, yeah, but it seems even more chaotic now with all the background stuff. Exactly, background stuff. It's not directly associated with Dylan Rounds at this moment. It's external, right? And I've proven it in the past that I can cover both at the same time and separate them within the same exact video, right? That's why there's a structure and foundations behind it. But obviously, there'll be some people here and there, that won't see it that way, okay, and whinge and whine, but that's their problem, okay? So we've got Pancakes calling people out as cowards and this and that and going on, but also censoring people as well and going behind other people's backs. It just seems a little bit dodgy, that. We got Inky unplugged. Bella V is still plugged in from the looks of it. That sounds dodgy, that. But yeah, shout out to Inky the bingo baller. Okay. Now, I saw Inky played... Oh, I keep forgetting what it's called. Oh, no. What is it called now? The Battle Royale game, Apex Legends. I did play that myself in the past, but I wasn't good at it. I don't really like Battle Royale games. It's too toxic. Got to that point where it's just bad playing online against people because most people are toxic, choose the easy way out, try hards, and it's just shit, okay? But as I said, single-player games aren't better either because of the RPG trend taking over every bloody game out there I like and enjoy, and it becoming boring, drawn out, and like a slow-paced thing. We've got Bella V saying, hello, beautiful. Thank you, Bella V. Very kind of you to say. But yeah, shout out to Inky. Shout out to Confluence. I forgot to include them at the start of this video for the super chat. That's good of them. They liked the voices. Damn, that was incredible. Yeah, it was on the spot. Just as a heads up, in case you didn't know, when I did do that, of all the different impressions, I had no script. It was all made up on the spot. Every 0.5 seconds, I had to think of something to say next on the go. We've got Joe Senat. Pancake Boy is a fucking loser. Okay. Joe Senat, a newish viewer. Shout out to him for watching. And it's the thing. Other channels might get huggy, kissy, kissy, and then start pledging full-on 100% relationship allegiances, entanglement, stranglehold, triangular formats, and pyramid effects with one another. And it's like, calm down. Because what I do, which is different to others, is just simply acknowledge someone for watching or for commenting. Very simple, very basic, could be considered very neutral, but it's realistic, right? There's no backstabbing, there's no uncertainty there. It's simple as thanks for watching or thanks for commenting, appreciate it, etc., and then you expand from there. Okay? Pack and Go. Hey, I missed this chat and video. We'll be back tomorrow on road trip, early Christmas shopping in town, watching replay. My God, Pack and Go. Already getting prepared for Christmas. It's not even time yet. God, you haven't even got the fireworks in for bonfire night. Wow, you're really ahead of time. Andrew Culver keeps coming on in bragging. Right on, mate. I'm fucking 12 hours ahead of y'all. Right on. I know exactly what's going to be happening next. I can predict the future. Good for you, Andrew Culver. But I guess you can't say you're in the same situation as Pack and Go. Pack and Go is already ready for Christmas, right? To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if there's another conspiracy man. Yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Pack and Go. Yeah, like I told you earlier, you got to be on good behavior because if you start causing shit, you're going to get blocked. You're going to get knocked. Yeah, it's just not a good idea. I know. I know exactly why you are preparing early for Christmas. It's because secretly you're Mrs. Santa Claus. Yeah. You're just getting the beard. You're getting the wig. Yeah, the wig. That's what it's all about, man. And you're getting the red costume and the bell. Filling up the sack and getting the reindeer some carrots. Yeah, I'm going to expose you. I'm going to reveal it all. I'm going to fucking dox your location, man. Yeah, I'm just a petty-ass bitch. I'm going to be releasing your location in the North Pole, man. No poles in sight because they've been rammed and inserted up the shack lady's ass. That's why she's behaving the way she is, and she's stuck in the bed, man. Yeah, you see how things go. And I think because of doing that comment, it's literally skipped ahead the comments themselves. I wasn't even looking at the screen then when it must have flicked forwards. Wow. Telepathic. Anyway, let's move on. Selena's comment. Selena says, ding dong, always enjoy your humour. So that's good of Selena. Thanks for watching. Shout out to Selena, a new viewer, I believe. The ding-dong reference is to do with the lower part of a male because pancakes seem to have a bit of a fixation regarding that area when it comes to applying it to other people or how it makes him excited or something. We got Robert Berger saying, good lecture, good message for us all. Shout out to Robert, it's good of him to say. Sun saying, warlike ref, ha ha ha, ha ha ha. The pancake spanking was great. I love your sense of humour and impersonations. As for Pancakes and his brainwashed followers bullying, harassing and threatening everyone, it is a felony in the state of Utah as of the third month of 2023. Contact the Attorney General's office and YouTube. Save Weezer's threat and any others you receive, including recording his latest outburst on True Crime Deep Dive Tree. Okay? True Crime Deep Dive 333, I think, is Mighty Mouse's channel, also known as Kaylee, who set up her secondary account because her original Kaylee YouTube account was taken down alongside with Pancakes. So she set up a new account, Kaylee, called Mighty Mouse 333, I believe. Pancakes went on, did live streams and stuff, and I think Alice did as well, here and there. But I think they changed the name once again. You wonder why. Changed the name multiple times to avoid being reported, possibly. Possibly. But yeah, that True Crime Deep Dive 333, if you type it in on YouTube, then it should come up with the channel, and then I guess the videos there which supposedly go against TOS, maybe, right? Feel free to view it if you wish to. This comment here by Sun is just like to spread awareness by, anyone that comes across this comment, take it into mind, into consideration, and if you do come across any negativity which does go against TOS of other channels, maybe take into consideration the methods and steps forwards. Okay? So, glad Sun enjoyed the video. Saying, Raf, what are the red marks on your left hand from the cat scratching? No, all under control there. No kitty cats have attacked me, scratched me, or ambushed me. The kitty cats on good behaviour. I'm okay with the kitty cats. They're fine. No issues there. It's dogs that are the problem with me. But yeah, the red mark on my hand, it was just simply writing, which I forgot to wash off earlier on in the day, okay? So, yeah. And we've got Autism Without Limits saying, good morning, Warlike Raf. This was an interesting video. One thing I am sure people have noticed about Salty is how repetitive he is when he communicates. This is actually a manipulative speech technique used to push misinformation. Our human brain equates repetition with truth. Psychologists call this mental process the illusionary truth effect. When you hear Salty tell a lie, he will keep repeating the same words or phrase over and over again until it becomes his truth. The more insecure he is about a statement, the more repetitive his speech becomes. That is why you heard Salty repeatedly say things such as, that's why I'm winning, or insert name is a that, or a trafficker. Over and over again until people in his channel believe him and start repeating what he says. Bellevue agrees 100%. Interesting. Now, I've known Bellevue has associated with Pancakes in the past, but I guess things have changed with time. Things happen like that. I know Bellevue has her own drama going on, or people have drama with her, but I guess that's unrelated. Obviously, I don't keep up with everything. Why would I? I'm covering the Dylan Brown's case for most part of it. Red Rose says, yes, but JT, Jim Terry, and Mr. T. Mr. T?
Yo, fool! Mr. T! You ain't got no snicker, man! That's how it should taste. You need to put the nuts in your mouth, boy! Not those type. Get the fucking chocolate ramen in your mouth, boy! Yeah, my name's Mr. T!
Mr. T? Who's Mr. T? Jim Terry and Mr. T, also known as Mark Terry. Why are people not clear with these abbreviations? How is everyone going to know these little names and these little shortened ones? God. So, Jim Tay and Mr. X and Mike, also known as Salty Pancakes, are all narcissistic bullies who need full-time ego feeding plus the greed. Okay? Now, I don't want to get confused, but just because of that profile picture of the rose, red rose, quick question. Was your username ever called DP or something? Or PD? DP or something? It's only because of the profile picture looks similar to a person I saw in the past, and they, I guess they didn't quite agree with my channel or something. I don't know. But yeah, there you go. Now the bit about what autism says with the psychological aspect, the illusionary truth effect. I mean, I've learned that in the past during college or so. More to do with, you could have people in a room that are an expert and know what they're talking about, and then other people that don't, and they just follow along and go along with that answer of what the original said because they all look up to that one person, right? So if you're already a lost soul, you seek refuge towards someone and then you just simply look up and nod and say yes to everything they say. That's not great, is it? But in terms of times where people can think for themselves, that's where the brainwashing process does take place more so. And that's where the repetitiveness is most concentrated and most active. The levels of repetitiveness will vary in length depending on who you're dealing with. If you're dealing with a person that has their own thoughts and feelings, it's going to take more time, right? What do they say? Repetition is the key to mastery, right? Repetition is a form of consistency and a balance of frequency, getting a point across. You make it bold enough and you are consistent with what you say. There's no switching and changing of information in between. People are more likely to believe in you or change their ways and listen to you, right? But if they really did know the reality and the facts, then maybe that illusionary truth effect may not work as well, right? So there is that. And yeah, I can acknowledge that, yeah, I do get it. Pancakes can be very repetitive in what he says. Certain insult lines, what I would like to call default insult lines, just like how the human race will use default lines such as, you have no life, or the KYS line, you know, etc., etc. There's many lines out there. Or the resistant line where they'll say to you, more so males, more so of a younger audience, that will say,
Oh, you're performing really bad because that is a skill issue. Oh, you're not able to perform that because that's a skill issue. Oh, you got inappropriately touched because that's a skill issue.
and it gets into a much more degenerative area. Like, we're talking levels of high degeneracy on TikTok where the person genuinely gets stabbed with a knife in the UK. People will comment and say, that's a skill issue. If you were better skilled, you would have been able to avoid it. What a load of bollocks. But then again, you're dealing with idiots, okay? Types of idiots where if you grabbed their head, bang, bang, bang against a concrete wall, it still wouldn't lead to knocking any sense into them because they've got none, right? That's an external example, right? More of an abstract way of describing it. But yeah, I understand what Autism Without Limits is talking about there, psychological part. Bellevue, great show, Warlike Rare, thank you for the tag, spot on. So Bellevue finally understood the video, hallelujah.
Well done, Bellevue. I'm really proud of you. I don't know why I'm saying I'm proud of you. Sounds like I'm talking in third person. What am I doing? I don't know. Must be the wine getting to me. I've been drinking a bit too much recently, but, you know, just saying.
So it's good Bellevue acknowledges the purpose of the video, the theme of it, right? So that's all good. Okay, what's this? Bellevue 2 hours ago. Boy, am I being harassed now by individuals? Very sad. In the past, Salty Pancakes was after me for months. I believe we only had 1 good month out of my 5 months as a creator. Okay, interesting. Badger says, why? Bella V says, have not heard me say a word about anyone. Some reason, some cannot stop talking. Guess I am just evil. Bella also says, and far as Salty Pancakes, it was because I chose not to follow anymore, and that was my punishment. I fought back, then decided not to put any more energy into it. Many shows were made about me, as are now with others. There we go. Interesting. Once again. And in this case, Bella V is somewhat of a content creator, right, to an extent, and as well has experienced it firsthand, the negative effects of pulling away, disassociating with Pancake's channel community, right? And there's a backlash for it. And that is possibly why other viewers out there are too scared to do the same thing as Bella V or Confluence or Badger because of that negative backlash. You get punished for walking away. You get punished for moving on to a different channel. Seems a bit extreme now. It seems like a level of control, like a domestic situation. You can't leave the house. You can't do this. You can't see that person. You can't talk to that person. You only belong here. And it's like, okay, getting a bit over the top there, isn't it? Yeah. Now, why does someone start becoming controlling? Is it because they simply lack something to begin with? Maybe. Maybe because they feel threatened. They are aware or they feel scared that if they don't establish control and dominance, that they're going to leave them and walk away from them. In which the reality is, no matter how hard you try or not try, people will walk away end of the day or just simply move on to a different channel. That's normal. It's inevitable. You can't stop it. When you do try to stop it, that's where the control takes place and where it gets a bit messy and you end up damaging your own channel or your own self down the line. It's not worth doing it, right? There'll be people that watched my videos in the past and during the Dylan Brown's case, nowhere to be seen anymore. Is it the end of the world? No. Is it a shame that they're no longer around? For some, yeah. Others, I guess it is what it is, right? When you start pulling someone back when they're trying to get away, yeah, it just causes more problems than it's worth, right? So like the psychological aspect, what I was talking about in the last video about how some people are maybe too scared to move, to disagree, to move away because it leads to consequence. Basically, that's what's happened to Bella V and some other people in between, right? Whether it be long-time supporters, subscribers, or simple viewers, right? Seems like anyone and everyone can be a target, right? So shout out to Bella V for at least sharing her experiences, right? And also a little bit of balance as well by Bella V, acknowledging that there was at least a positive time with Pancakes, but most of it was clouded by the majority of negativeness. Right, okay. What else do we have? Final one, trailer park supervisor. I'm interested to know more about the wardrobe behind you. It has some sort of fabric covering. Would you consider selling it? And if so, how much would you accept? I'm on a fixed income. Right. I mean, as for that wardrobe and the 3D style wallpaper, if you call it that, it's like stuck on, like glued on. So if you tried pulling it off, it would tear because it has torn in the past. I think at one point there was some spare sheeting, but I just don't think it is around anymore. But if I do come across it or see it online, I'll provide a link so you can get a hold of this 3D style wallpaper, whatever. I don't know if this is a genuine comment or it could be a bit of a dodgy one, messing about. Either way, it doesn't matter. Thanks for commenting. So, yeah, that's it for the comments. Hopefully you were able to take it in from Bella V's perspective, what autism has said, what Sun has said, who else is there? Confluence, I guess Inky as well, and much more. Right, so it was good of people to share their comments and their thoughts, and it was somewhat easy to follow as well, the wording, the text, the language, all of that. And it was even backed up by multiple different people from their own independent experiences, which just showed consensus and reinforces, I guess, the validity of it, right? If other people have experiences, I guess feel free to share it in the comment section if you wish to. You think of the concept in the past, it might have been on a more isolated scale, where as a viewer from elsewhere, it's harder to walk away. But if multiple people walk away at the same time, then it might be easier and less punishing, right? The punishment is shared equally instead of it all being focused on just one individual. People in the past that did break away witnessed all that concentrated on just them individually. So maybe with time, it will become easier for viewers elsewhere to walk away wherever they go on to next. Obviously, people can say, is this some kind of manipulation tactic in which you headhunt people so then they come over to you? No, because as said, with time, my channel or not, or elsewhere, people come, watch, and then some people go. The ones that stay, it's very good of them too. Okay? That's the whole point, natural, right? Whatever happens, happens. So hopefully you enjoyed the video, and as well, with importance, hopefully you found it interesting, the Dylan Rounds map analysis coverage of Lucin, Imagery satellite from 2019 to 2022-23. Let me know if you noticed anything odd. If you've got additional thoughts or questions, list it down below in the comment section and we can respond to them afterwards. But for now, I think we'll leave it there. We'll see what happens next. Time will tell. Thanks for watching. Goodbye and good night for now.